Greetings and welcome to this part of Let's Play the Journeyman Project 2, Buried in Time. Alright, let's continue snooping through the files a little bit more. Basically, the divisions of the TSA, the Time Unit. Actually, let's not go into too much depth. After all, we're front-loading the information. I'll be coming back to this section later, but for now I think we need a little bit more background on the world of today. Or as they would say on to the Futurama, welcome to the world of tomorrow! Right, let's go into the environ system, which is basically sort of a holographic 3D TV channel thingy. Yeah, I could have phrased that better. Alright, let's see. Alright, sit down like that. And then we stand up again, because I forgot something. Where's the remote? If this is a TV, it has to have a remote. Ah, there it is. The remote control. This is the remote control for the high-res Environ Omni system. The remote allows access to over 1,000 terrestrial janets and hundreds of symbiotry satellite stations. However, the batteries are dead. Well, much use that is to me. Alright then. How did they turn on the TV in ye olde times? Oh, like this, I guess. Which button? Let's try the all side. Ooh, it's news. And interactive news too, so you don't have to hear everything that doesn't interest you. Well, let's begin with what concerns us the most.
INN will return after a word from our sponsor.
Ah, commercials.
The soon-to-be-released Gino, A Fond Remembrance, is Volume 4 of G-Tech's Rock Through the Ages collection. Never before has there been a video collection that captures the many moods of Gino Andrews. You'll hear the melancholy Gino.
So many songs about the rain.
The rebellious Gino.
When you sail in yourself, sail the price to pay. When you're sailing yourself, make it somewhere.
Yes, the carefree Gino.
It's been my dream to be a traveler of sorts, to visit all kinds.
And of course, the lovesick Gino.
A song for her is all she wants from me.
All of his chart-topping videos are here, brought back from the archives of the past and completely remastered in stunning 4D sound. In fact, Gino, A Fond Remembrance is the most complete collection of Gino's hits ever compiled on one EC. Call our toll-free ShopNet line now and receive a free sample from the upcoming EC that's bound to be an instant classic. Gino, A Fond Remembrance.
I'm sure it is. Now, you do actually need to watch these for the commercials, not specifically this one, but it is important.
The ongoing saga of Gage Blackwood took a frightening twist this morning when the agent of the Deep Time Unit broke house arrest to jump 9 years back in time. Fortunately, the illicit time jump was detected and he was immediately apprehended by Agent 8 of the Temporal Protectorate. Although it's still not clear how and why Blackwood obtained the TSA jumpsuit, Temporal Security Agency officials did say that no distortion ripples have yet been detected, and that there is no reason whatsoever to believe that Blackwood has altered history in any way. Our Lisa Long has a report from TSA Administrative Headquarters.
All right, next.
In a strange turn of events that can only be described as unimaginable, the highly decorated Gage Blackwood, better known as Agent 5 of the Deep Time Unit, has been arrested and put on trial for the crime of historical sabotage. We apologize for the lack of trial footage, but because of the sensitive nature of the material being presented, no recording equipment has been allowed into the tribunal wing of the United Ministry Complex where the trial is being held. The drama unfolded 3 weeks ago when Agent 2 of the Temporal Protectorate discovered 4 distortion ripples while conducting an unscheduled historical scan. As it turned out, the dates of the ripples exactly coincided with times to which Agent 5 had been sent for research purposes. The agent immediately contacted his supervisors, and on their orders, 3 agents were sent to apprehend Agent 5, who offered no resistance. Later that day, more evidence was found in Blackwood's locker, suggesting that he had disobeyed Temporal Security Agency directives for personal gain. Unless deemed absolutely necessary, the TSA will not send agents to investigate or restore the distortions, as any further tampering with history may cause adverse effects, possibly even turning the ripples into full reality distortion waves.
All right, that sounds like a setup if I ever heard it. Prosecution.
Prosecuting attorney Phil Stevens alleges that Agent 5 intentionally altered the past in 4 of the 10 time zones to which he had been sent for research purposes, his only apparent motive being personal gain. In so doing, Agent 5 would have knowingly violated Temporal Security Agency ethics, as well as the law. As temporal sabotage in any form is considered the worst possible crime against humanity, Stevens is aiming for the maximum allowable sentence. The burden of proof lies on the prosecution. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Gage Blackwood was responsible for the distortion ripples. There is strong evidence working against Blackwood, including both computer records that place him at the altered historical locations and contraband that was discovered in his locker. But the evidence alone is not enough to ensure a conviction. With this in mind, prosecuting attorney Stevens has directed his questioning toward eliminating other possible explanations for the ripples. Witnesses for the prosecution have included Agent 2 of the Temporal Protectorate, the TSA's chief technician, and the designer of the circuitry for the jumpsuit.
Alright, Agent 2. Alright, so he found a temporal ripple. Basically, he found all the ripples in specific locations, and they found me in Tahiti, where I was spending the day off. Well, that sucks. Getting caught on vacation. Chief technician. And he's gonna testify about how they scanned for faults in the timeline. When asked if it was possible for someone else to have used Agent 5's jumpsuit, Mrs. Chow said the security precautions meant that only one person be able to use each jumpsuit. She went on to explain that each jumpsuit is coded specifically to the DNA of the agent who uses it, and it will automatically self-destruct if tampered with. Well, I guess that explains why he came back to get me, because I have the exact same DNA. Let's see, the computer records. Alright, so video was made of my missions to the locations, which placed me at the scene. Yeah, of course it does, because I went on those missions. That's hardly evidence, unless they actually saw me alter what happened there. physical evidence. Alright, the 4 items included a golden ornament from Chichen Itza, a jeweled orb from Chateau Gaillard, a sketch from Leonardo da Vinci's studio, and a signed document from Kenneth Wallenstein's lab. Alright. What's the
In the
defense?
absence of an alibi or any evidence proving Agent 5's innocence, defense attorney Sandra Gallagher will be setting out to show, through the testimony of character witnesses, that it is not likely Mr. Blackwood committed the crime. If the defense can elicit some doubt of Blackwood's guilt, he will go free. Witnesses for the defense will include Agent 3 of the Deep Time Unit, Agent 8 of the Temporal Protectorate, the Commissioner of the Temporal Security Agency, and Agent 5 himself. The defense has not yet had the opportunity to present its case. However, we have contacted both the Chief Technician and Commissioner of the TSA to ask them their feelings on the arrest of Gage Blackwood. Neither Agent 3 of the Temporal Security Agency nor Mr. Blackwood could be reached for comment.
With us now is William Doughton, the TSA Chief Technician.
Hey,
He
that's the
joins
guy
us
who got us the
live from
suit.
the Temporal Security Agency Administrative Headquarters. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Doughton.
Thank you, Mark.
You've known Gage Blackwood for many years, and I understand that the two of you are good friends. Do you think he's guilty?
Absolutely not. The thought that he could be guilty never even crossed my mind. I mean, friend or no, here you've got someone who's dedicated his whole life to protecting history and now stands accused of violating it. That's ridiculous. And if you don't believe me, look at his record. The man's a decorated hero. You can't overlook that fact just because it doesn't fit neatly into the story the prosecution's trying to sell.
Isn't it true you testified that no one else made a time jump to any of the altered historical locations?
No, actually I testified the scanners didn't register anyone making a time jump to those locations. But computers are only as intelligent as their human programmers. Now, I believe it's possible that someone could have shadowed Agent 5's jumps. If a second time traveler were to make a jump within a few seconds of the first into the same location, the chronolog scanners probably wouldn't recognize it as a second jump.
Have you been able to test this theory?
No, not yet. It's too dangerous. If two people were to travel through the same null time tunnel and land in the exact same place, well, their matter would mix and that would kill them.
And you believe that someone found a way around this?
It's possible, yes.
Okay, well, thank you for your insights, Mr. Doughton.
Right, so it is possible for someone else to have jumped at the exact same time. What did the Commissioner say?
I have with me now Commissioner Jack Baldwin of the Temporal Security Agency, who's coming to us live from TSA Administrative Headquarters. Commissioner, thank you for joining us. Now, the first and most obvious question is, are you confident in your arrest of Gage Blackwood as the perpetrator of this crime?
We had to arrest Agent 5 because of the evidence, not because we think he did it. There was an obvious transgression. Someone was responsible for it, so we arrested the person to whom the evidence pointed. Now it's up to the courts to determine whether or not he's guilty.
So you believe he's innocent?
Absolutely. I've known Gage ever since he joined the TSA. In fact, I'm the one who recruited him. Gage Blackwood is a member of an endangered species. Gage Blackwood is a hero. He has put his life on the line many times to prevent this exact thing from happening. There's absolutely no way he would have abused his position at the risk of a single life, let alone history as we know it. Now, it just doesn't make sense.
Mr. Blackwood has been an agent for quite a while now, 13 years, I believe. Is it possible that the temptation just became too great for him to bear?
No. Gage is as committed to his duty now as he was back when he apprehended Elliot Sinclair. He was, and he is, our finest agent.
Okay, let's assume for a minute that he did do it. Knowing that he would be facing life imprisonment on Vega Thalon, do you feel that he would plead guilty?
First of all, it's a moot point because he didn't do it. But, presuming he did, knowing Gage, I'd say he had a damn good reason. And he would have confessed immediately. He wouldn't have pretended innocence, not for 1 minute. Bottom line, Gage Blackwood is no criminal. Gage Gage Blackwood is a hero.
Okay, Commissioner, it looks like we're out of time. Thank you.
Well, it's always nice to have staunch defenders as friends. Editorial.
If Blackwood is indeed guilty, he has altered more than just the past. The future, too, will likely feel the results of his actions. The Deep Time Unit will probably be discontinued before ever realizing its full potential. But there is an even greater issue at stake. That is whether the Temporal Security Agency itself is more of a risk than a safety measure. Many feel that it should be shut down and everything related to time travel destroyed. Others argue that the technology has already been invented, so there's nothing stopping it from being reinvented for the wrong reasons. So in their opinion, the Temporal Security Agency must remain operational to safeguard against future acts of historical sabotage.
I think I agree with the latter group. Cat's out of the box. You can't stuff it back in. Let's see, we have 3 minutes. Let's go to Louvre auction.
INN will return after a word from our sponsor.
Another bloody commercial. Oh, this one.
Cheese girl!
Yuck. Alright, let's ignore that for the moment.
In a last-ditch effort to stay afloat, the Louvre Art Museum held an auction of unprecedented scale yesterday. The museum was forced to sell off many of its older collections to pay off creditors and to raise funds desperately needed for renovations to the facility. In a fervent display of support, the art community rallied around the historic landmark, showing that the museum itself is every bit as valuable an artifact as any of the works of art it contains. The auction was an astounding success, raising 138.5 billion credits, easily surpassing the 100 billion credit goal. This windfall was due in large part to one generous bidder who preferred to remain unidentified. Martin Walker is standing by with a live report from the Louvre.
Thanks, Mark. I'm standing inside the historic Louvre Museum in Paris. Behind me sits one of the few pieces to survive yesterday's extensive art auction. Items up for auction included artifacts and works of art from many of the Louvre's oldest collections, including the Da Vinci exhibit, the ancient Egyptian, and Toltec Mayan exhibits. 4 particular items were snapped up by a generous bidder who paid much more than the asking price. The bidder's identity is unknown, but it is assumed to be an art enthusiast who didn't want to see the Louvre shut down. There are rumors, however, that the buyer may actually have been acting on behalf of another race in the symbiotry, which, according to the Earth History Preservation Act of 2322, would be illegal. We're told an investigation may follow. Museum sources that I spoke to speculated that the revenue from the auction will be enough to keep the Louvre in operation for at least the next 5 years. However, they warned me that the price of admission may go up in order to help cover operating costs, a small price to pay for such a wealth of human history and culture.
Right.
The Louvre's financial difficulties arose from a combination of rising maintenance costs, overspending, and lower than normal attendance. Several costly acquisitions in recent years sunk the museum into spiraling debt. When repairs to the facilities became unavoidable and visitor attendance fell, it became clear that a major influx of cash was needed to cure the museum's ills. In June, the decision was made to auction off several of its older exhibits. That decision paid off well yesterday. The 4 items that the unidentified bidder purchased included the Toltec Mayan ceremonial coffer, King Richard the Lionheart's sword from the Crusades, Leonardo da Vinci's Codex Atlanticus, and an interactive sculpture entitled Self-Awareness, credited to Kenneth Farnstein. Attendees of the auction said the buyer did not try to purchase any other items, but immediately made an excessive bid on these 4 artifacts as soon as the bidding opened.
You know, something about those artifacts reminds me of something that I've already seen. For one thing, that sculpture that is credited to Kenneth Farnstein. Don't we have a location called Farnstein's Lab? And we are going to Leonardo da Vinci's studio.
Experts estimated that the unidentified man paid at least 7 billion credits more than the true value of the pieces, but none could say why he was so interested in 4 such disparate artifacts. They eventually conceded that it may have simply been their rich histories that intrigued him.
Right. Mayan coffer, unusual jade and gold coffer, in Mayan religious ceremonies, in Chichen Itza. Right, so it basically is a puzzle box that needs the right combination to open, otherwise you die. Reach the first sword. Chateau Gaillard? Alright, this is no longer a coincidence. Something about these artifacts is connected to our mission. Leonardo da Vinci's Codex on flight. And self-awareness. That's just a green blob. Again, if you want to read this on yourself, feel free to do so, but I'm not gonna read these out loud. Yeah, a lot of extra backstory, which is fun to read, but really a bit unnecessary for our purposes. Alright. And that's all for this episode. I will see you all next time.